Hello, Ariana. Today is the 14th of December 2016, and I wanted to give a review of this year. Admittedly, it's 2 weeks early, but I thought I have an opportunity to talk while my mum's in bed, and I don't like doing this when people are around. So I'm going to sort of not so much do a month by month account, because there are some months where nothing happens, but I'm going to start off in January 2016. And as you know, in January is when your birthday is, and I was coming to terms with probably not going to be seeing you anymore. In 2015, I received an email that I read on Christmas Eve, saying your mum was going to be stopping the supervised visits and that she was going to be taking me to mediation. And I'll be honest, in view of the fact that I'd started mediation about a year earlier and she rejected it, I wasn't remotely confident that she even contacted them. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll wait and see what happens. And nothing happened. I did not have any communication with you on your birthday because I was trying to be obedient and do as your mum suggested. But as it clearly went on, nothing happened. Your mum never contacted them. Your mum just wanted me out of your life. But no one ever asked you for your opinion, did they? No one actually asked you if you were happy for me to be out of your life. But that's just the way it is. And from January onwards, I had to come to terms with new feelings that I had. In 2015, I would have this constant sense of despair. I had to get my head around the fact that I would go past schools whereby I would see children of your age going into school, and me being aware of the emotions that arise from that. I would also be aware of kids of your age being brought in by their parents into work, and all the kids crying, and me being reminded of you. I had all that to deal with, and there was a sense of this despair. And I also used to have this regular thought that maybe one day you'd come run into the shop and you'd say, "Daddy, Daddy," and I'd pick you up and I'd cuddle you, and everyone else was in tears around me because I knew just how upset I'd been. But I think when I actually saw you for 3 times in December 2015, those thoughts stopped completely. And then when I was denied from seeing you again from the same month onwards to the current day, my thought process was different. That it wasn't so much the despair of not seeing you, it was then the sense of having to let go, because I knew that it was the end. And I think for some considerable time, especially mostly through 2016, there was this feeling that I'd fallen down a well and I was just forever falling, but never actually hitting the bottom. Until I think I hit the bottom in around about August, and I'll explain why later. Now we're going to go forward to March 2016, where just out of nowhere, me, Martina and Ben decided to go to Dublin. It's a place that we'd always wanted to go, but we sort of went there, and I think if we'd have known how cold it was going to be, we wouldn't have gone, because when we got there, we learned that the reasons the Romans never went to Ireland was because it was too cold. Really? You're not kidding? It was freezing, and we didn't plan for this, and we didn't sort of take probably the right clothes, and we were very, very cold. And our hotel room had a problem with the window, in the sense that it wouldn't close properly, so it was letting even more cold air in. And I think it must have been about 5 degrees or whatever at night time. It was not very warm. Actually, it was probably colder than that, because it's 5 degrees, but it was colder than that. But a lot of the tours were very boring, and you were doing walking tours in the freezing cold. We had a good vibe amongst the 3 of us, but it wasn't a great holiday. We was only there for about 4 days, I think, anyway. We're now going to sort of jump forward to June, and more to the point, at the end of June, whereby Ben had received a letter to say that he was banned from EasyJet for something that happened in September the 11th, 2015, where they alleged that an altercation happened whereby he was on a flight coming back from Barcelona on that day. But I was flying with Ben that day, and we weren't flying back from Barcelona, we were flying to Berlin. They banned him from the flight. They banned him from flying with EasyJet. And it didn't just impact on Ben, it impacted on me and Martina as well, because we were going to be flying to Dubrovnik in Croatia in September to celebrate her birthday. And we kept on emailing them and messaging them, and we kept on being stonewalled, and it was driving us nuts. And then July came by, and Ben had his week off approved from work, which became completely pointless because we didn't have a clue what we were doing or where we were going or anything. It was really, really annoying. And now we're going to jump forward to August, where EasyJet finally admitted that they made a mistake, but we'd already booked with another flight operator called Monarch by then, but the prices had massively gone up, and I'd messaged EasyJet themselves saying that you should be compensating Ben for this, because all our costs have gone up as a result of your incompetence. Our costs have gone up by over £100 each because we've had to delay flying because we anticipated flying with you, but you took so long in sorting this out. And they did finally admit they made a mistake, and our costs have gone up by quite a considerable amount. But also August is an important month because I was really struggling with my emotions at the time, not coming to terms with not seeing you, just feeling so upset and wound up about everything that had happened. Martina had previously said to me that I should go and get counselling, which I sort of relented, but I agreed to get counselling through the Portsmouth counselling service, who were subsidised by Portsmouth City Council, and I paid my £25 fee, and I had to wait for someone to be assigned to me, and that was in August. Now we're going to jump to September, where this was the month that we were flying to Dubrovnik for Martina's 33rd birthday. Probably got that wrong. Now, a week before we were due to fly, Mum had a problem with her hand. It had become inflamed around this part here, and this is Mum gets around with a walking stick, and it's a moulded walking stick, so as she sort of like pushes it like this, it hurts her hand, so she can't effectively walk around with a walking stick anymore, and she can't walk around without one. Now unfortunately she did not have anyone that could look after her during my few days away, so the idea was, if Mum wasn't well by the time I was ready to leave, then I wouldn't be going. And I was quite run down about a week leading up to Dubrovnik, because this holiday was based around Martina's birthday, and I'm somewhat pivotal in regards to the 4 people that were flying, in the sense that Martina invited a guy called Phil, and none of us are really massive friends of his. I mean, he's alright, but we don't know him that well. He's okay. He doesn't say a great deal. There's Ben, who I get on with quite well, and there's Martina, who I get on quite well with. But Ben and Martina, they don't have a massive connection between the two of them, so if I don't go, it has a massive impact on the holiday, and that's what I was really upset about, that if I don't go, their holiday is not going to be anywhere near as good. So I was quite down about that, and I kept it from them. I didn't say anything. I was hoping that everything would sort itself out. And with 2 days to go, the inflamed area had gone down Mum's hand, and she was able to get out and about a bit. That was fine. On the Saturday, we board our Monarch flights, because they're the people we're now flying with, and we fly to Dubrovnik, and then on the plane a bloke clutches his heart and falls down in front of me. The plane is diverted back to Gatwick, and we are still in Gatwick 4 hours after we're supposed to have flown. So that was incredibly annoying. But we eventually get to Dubrovnik and everything is fine. The following day, on the Sunday, I get a phone call from a sister informing me that Mum has had a fall in her back garden. Now, my sister was on a caravan holiday in Suffolk, so she didn't come here. My niece did come here, but she was on her own for 2 days. My niece was, while my mum was in hospital. The next door neighbour did see my mum after about an hour of hearing her making noises, but he panicked, didn't know what to do, and he called one of the neighbours, and the neighbours told me that, or later told me that when I asked him if he'd phoned for an ambulance, he said no, they wouldn't believe me. And then the next story was that someone else called them, well, somebody did call them, we don't know who. And the other story, he said, was that he did phone for an ambulance, but they're engaged. That never happens, does it? So it was very, very strange. So throughout the whole of the Sunday, I was completely stressed out, thinking, I can't do anything. I'm sort of stuck in the middle of nowhere. I don't know how Mum is. And over the next few days, I'm sort of contacting home or contacting the hospital to find out we know what's going on. Mum comes out of hospital 2 days later, and my niece spends the rest of the holiday looking after her, which is nice. I get back from Dubrovnik. Mum is not really the same person in the sense that she can't walk around on her own. Well, she can't walk to the shops on her own because she's not sort of stable on her feet. So I have to go out with her all the time, and that's impacted on my mood because, I'd like Mum to be independent and I'd like to be able to get on with my own life, but I kind of feel, the sort of sense of responsibility that I can't do that. So we're now going to sort of jump forward to October, and in October, Portsmouth Counselling Service contacted me to say that they have had their funding withdrawn from Portsmouth City Council. So unless I agree to short-term counselling, then they're going to have to cancel the counselling that I was planning to have with them. Now at this point I still had not been assigned a counsellor, so I thought to myself, well, in view of the fact that I've got some commitments coming up whereby I couldn't attend certain appointments, it didn't seem any point me paying for sessions that weren't going to be beneficial, so I cancelled. Now I should have been quite down about this, but I actually thought it was quite funny, purely because this has been one of those years where just about anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. So I was quite funny about it, but that was that. Now we're now going to sort of jump forward to November 2016, whereby Mum was rushed into hospital with breathing problems. Every time she took her oxygen mask off, she couldn't breathe. And so she was rushed into hospital, and she was in for about 6 days. And when she came out, she was completely not the same person. Her hearing was worse. It still isn't great now. It's not going to get any better, is it? So her hearing was worse. She was quite down. Her memory was terrible, and I was just feeling really, really low. And with about a week leading up to a little city break in Berlin that I was going to go on with Martina, I didn't do any planning for this holiday. This is one of the very rare occasions I don't plan anything, and I was just miserable at work. I was thinking, what is the point in going to Berlin? I'm not in the mood for this, and even if I do go, this will probably be the last holiday I'll ever go on, because this is how my life's going to be from now on. I've got no daughter, and I've got a mother who's not in the greatest of health, so I was just really miserable. But in December we went up to Berlin, and I chilled out quite a lot. It wasn't the greatest holiday that I've ever been on, but I was able to chill out, and I was quite happy while I was there. And while I was in Berlin, I learned that Mum had finally got herself a wheelchair. My niece had pushed her to Asda and back in it twice, And I came back and Mum seemed a little bit more upbeat. I've since taken her out twice myself, once to QA Hospital and North End, and the other time we went to Bransbury Park, and then I wheeled her to Lidl's in Goldsmith Avenue, and then back home. So Mum's actually quite cheerful. So, you know, even though I've been full of cold, and even though I've about 2 days after I get home from Berlin, I'm going to having an emergency appointment at the dentist because I've got this terrible toothache, and I'm still full of cold. Things are actually not too bad. So I don't know how. I'm looking forward to Christmas, really, even though it's going to be without you. It's not going to be the Christmas that I would want. I'm a bit more upbeat than what I was about a month ago. So things aren't too bad. But the most recent event has been that the Child Maintenance Service, formerly the Child Support Agency, has contacted me to make a new arrangement with your mother. What this involves is Child Support Agency were not brilliant in making sure that fathers or non-paying fathers were paying maintenance for their children, and a new agency had been brought in to sort of make sure that this happens. Now I was annoyed about this because I had never defaulted on a payment, and even though your mum and I can't stand each other, the one thing we can rely on is the fact that the Child Support Agency has always been quite good to us. So I didn't like the idea, the fact that I had to pay a one-off £20 payment to this new agency to make sure that they set this new account up. And I didn't like the fact that if your mum didn't agree to it, then I got to wave goodbye to that £20 anyway, through no fault of my own. So I'm not happy about this, and your mum will be contacted soon, and hopefully she agrees to everything, and then the money can be paid directly into her account instead of into a separate Child Support Agency account. But it is somewhat annoying that I'm paying for a child that I'm not even allowed to see. But that's the way it's going to be for the next 12 years, I suppose. That's it, really. That is the year of 2016. Christmas will involve me doing some of the cooking. I will be cooking beef and gammon. Mum will be doing the vegetables. Martina will be coming here for a couple of hours. Mum and I will be opening presents. Mum's not been able to buy presents on her own because she's been unwell, so I've pretty much been with her while she's been buying presents, so it's a bit annoying having to open presents that I've seen her buy and then open up. But for me, it's actually going to be about the presents that I've bought Mum. So it's not going to be the greatest Christmas in the world, but you know, you've got to make the best of these things, haven't you, really? Anyway, that's enough from me. Goodbye.